What is up, guys? So this is the first lesson to the course on Intro to HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. This isn't going to be a long, exhaustive course. It's just a simple introduction. And the goal of this course is to get your feet wet with the basics of programming. Hopefully, after this, you'll be able to go out and make a simple website on your own with some minor functionality to it. So we're going to start with HTML, and what HTML stands for is Hypertext Markup Language. Now, HTML is not the design of the site or anything like that. It is simply the structure and the content of your website. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a few simple principles of HTML. So what we're going to end up having at the end of this lesson is a simple basic site that looks something like this. As you can see, we have a header, a subheader, and a nice little header for our paragraph here. And we also have a title up here. So super simple, but you can do a lot with just the simple basics of HTML. So I've got a new document here, and we're going to start from scratch in this. Now, before I get into any of the HTML, I'm going to go ahead and say you guys going to need a text editor of sorts. So if you're on Mac or even Windows, I think you can get Sublime. I don't personally use Sublime. I use Visual Studio Code. Both are free, both do relatively the same thing. A lot of developers like Visual Studio Code, from beginning developers to hardcore architects. The reason why I would say to choose Visual Studio Code over Visual Studio Basic is it gets the job done, and it's a lot faster because it doesn't have as much features as Visual Studio Basic does. It downloads faster, it takes up less space. So I would just go ahead and start out with that. Once you've downloaded that, then we can get started into making your very first web page. So what we're going to do is we're going to declare the document type. So we're going to do we're going to do bracket, exclamation mark, doc type, HTML. And this is the first thing that needs to be in your HTML document. And the reason why is it tells the browser what kind of document it can expect. It's like, hey, browser, this is going to be an HTML document, okay? And so that's super important. Don't forget that, or your site probably won't work. All right, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to type HTML and closing tag HTML. So let me do a little quick explanation of what I'm doing here. These are called tags, all of them are called tags, all right? And basically it just tells the browser, hey, this is what this is. And so that's why you have the HTML tags here. It's just telling the browser what's going on. And so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to say head, closing tag, head. It's very important that you remember there's a beginning tag and a closing tag. So the beginning tag does not have the slash mark that you'll see in the closing tag. So just remember that. Pretty simple to remember, but very, very important. So in our head tag is the title tag. And the title tag isn't super important, but once you get into the nuances of programming, it is relatively important, not to the website design itself or the website structure itself, because this does not show up in the website. This is mainly for search engines, so your site will pop up on the search engines well enough. Just basic search engine optimization here. Sorry, I'm a little bit sick, but here I'm just going to say HTML lesson 1. You can do hello world, my first document, whatever you want to call it. All right, so in the head, you're going to have stuff like your script links, your CSS links, all your external documents kind of thing. But we'll get into that a little bit later once we get into like CSS and JavaScript and stuff. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and save this. All right, HTML lesson 1 practice. All right, so when you name your HTML document, make sure you don't save it HTML whatever or my document.txt or my document.pdf. No, you have to make sure you save it as .html, all right, or else it's just not going to work. All right, and I'm going to save that. And then our little code text editor is going to do a little bit of magic here and make all the little elements different colors, which is really convenient when you're reading and looking over your code. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to create a body tag. What the body tag is it says, hey, all of my content is going to be in between here. Your content is never going to be outside of these two tags. If your content is outside of these two tags, it's not going to work. This is the body of your document. Your content is never going to be the head tag. It's not going to be outside of the body tag. It's not going to be outside of the HTML tags. It's just going to stay right there in between the body tags, or else it's just going to blow up. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make a simple header. So I'm going to type H1, closing tag, H1. This is going to be the header element of your page. And inside this header element, you're going to type whatever header you want. I'm just going to do hello world. So what the cool thing about this is there's some already pre-styled elements in HTML. So when you make a header like H1, H2, whatever you want to do, it's already going to have some styles applied to it. So this H1 text is going to be bigger than an H2 text or a paragraph text, as you can see when we open it up in our browser. All right. There we go. Hello world. All right. But if we were to do a H2, it gets smaller as you go down the numbers. I'm smaller. And it goes, all the headings go all the way down to H6, which is roughly paragraph size with like a bold effect applied to it. So I'm the smallest. There we go. See, so there's 6 different headings you can choose from. I typically choose like a H3 for like a paragraph heading, but these are all really, they're very convenient, and they're great to use out of the box once you're starting HTML. It makes it easier to organize your document and whatnot. And it's fun to use them. All right. So these are my little headings that I've got. All of them have closing tags, and each of these are page elements, just to reiterate. All right, now I'm going to have a paragraph tag. So this is going to have your typical paragraph font, probably around like a 12 font size, 12 pixel font size, somewhere around there. Just your typical paragraph style. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Bacon Ipsum, which is one of my favorite places to get filler text. You can look up Bacon Ipsum, you can look up Lorem Ipsum, and it's going to come up with some great filler text, but I like to make my Bacon Ipsum spicy. So I'm just going to copy that and paste it right in here. There we go. And I'm going to save it, and I'm going to reload the page. And I got my paragraph Bacon Ipsum in there. So as you can see, the H6 is actually smaller than the paragraphs. So I would say about an H4 or H5 is roughly paragraph size with a bold font style applied to it. So I'm going to give our paragraph a heading to make it seem extra fancy. All right, so I'm going to go with H3. And see, the convenient thing is, if you just go ahead and you type your H3, put a curly, or not a curly bracket there, but a normal, angle bracket, whatever you want to call it, I don't know. And then it already has it right there. All you got to do is click enter, and it'll fill it in for you. It's super simple, and you wouldn't think it's that big of a deal, but as you start coding more, it's super duper convenient and actually saves you a lot of time in the long run. So let's see, we'll give spicy Bacon Ipsum. That's a good heading title, paragraph title. All right, we'll reload the page, and there is our fancy paragraph title and our fancy spicy bacon Ibsen paragraph and all of our headings. And we've got our title over here, which once again helps with search engine optimization, so never forget that. All right. So this has been a quick intro to HTML. We'll do several other lessons, don't worry. Super simple. But it's highly effective, and you're going to be using these elements over and over and over again in your web design career. In fact, these are going to be the elements you use most in your web design career. All right, and that about sums it up. If you want to learn more before I put out the next tutorial, or you want to go more in depth on elements and H1s and whatever, you have more questions, either leave a comment and ask a question, or you can go to w3schools.com or let's see, microsoftvirtualacademy.com. I'll leave some great resources in the video description below. So let me know what you think of this tutorial, and go code. Have fun creating.